It's Friday. Yes, it is. It's Friday, Friday, Friday. I wonder who came up with the names I wonder who came up with the names for the days of the week. Okay, somebody probably in Greek land, in Greece, because I think that's where, didn't they say that's where civilization began? No, didn't they tell me it was in Africa? I don't know where it was. I don't know where this street thing, what the Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, I don't really know who came up with the names, but I guess they've been working for a while, so we're just going to keep them. Anyway, good morning to you. Hope this day finds you well. I'm Kevin Elkins, and this is what do we call this show? We call it Decisions, because everything we do requires us to make one, and even when you don't make one, well, you just made one. So you see, you cannot get beyond the decision making process in your life. You make them, whether it's subconsciously or consciously. We all spend our days making decisions, and all you have to do is remember that every decision that we make at some point in time, at some point in time, um, has a consequence, either positive, negative, good, or bad. Play read appear. No, no, but I am going to play one that you like today. Okay, I am going to play one you like. Now, if you can, Dr. Joe, if you can give me a source for these motivational speeches, one that are interesting, that last maybe less than 10 minutes, I would certainly use your stuff. Just send me a link to it, to the email address. Or what is the email? Okay, okay, here's okay. LO, okay, JIC 2025 at, okay, gmail.com. Okay, so there's the email for the show right there. Email. Okay, now there you go. So if you that's the email for the show right there. Okay, so if you find a source for me, I'll make sure. Just make sure they're good. Make sure there's a lesson in them. That's what I try to do. Okay, I'm just saying. You might want to think about that. Anyway, good morning to you. It is a Friday morning. It is believe it or not, the 20th day of March, 2026. The Today, right now outside, it's 43 degrees. High today of 81 degrees. I didn't say 21. Said 81 degrees. Yesterday's the first day of spring. We appreciate spring showing up on time. Okay, then so we couldn't complain about the other day. I didn't realize it was still winter. So old man winter let us know that hey, it ain't over yet. Okay. So anyway, good morning to you. 43 degrees outside. Today's forecast goes as follows. There's a 15% chance of precipitation today. Other than that, the conditions look pretty good. As a matter of fact, it looks real good. As a matter of fact, generally sunny skies today, and you can't beat a sunny sky. Wind southwest at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. On tonight, low of 52 degrees, clear skies, low 52, winds light and variable. On tomorrow, mainly sunny, very warm, high around 85 degrees, winds west southwest at about uh, 5 to 10 miles per hour. And that's your weather for the capital city of Alabama, Montgomery. I'm trying to figure out how Montgomery became the capital city of Alabama. I mean, you got Birmingham up there and you got Huntsville up there. How did Montgomery get it? I guess because we're in the center of the state. Is that what that was? Is that what that was all about? Because we're in the center of the state, so we thought okay, so they thought they would just make. Okay, so I guess if you're a state working all, you can easily find the center of the state. Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, I'm just wondering how because Montgomery looks like a little bitty town, but it's got big buildings in it, but kind of a little bitty town though. But not very big at all. Kind of like Chattanooga, Tennessee. But anyway, who cares about that kind of stuff, right? Okay, that's right. You don't. I don't. At least I do, but not right at the particular moment. I don't care. Okay. Anyway, it's time to rise and shine. The clock on the wall says it's 10 minutes after the hour 7 o'clock. Let's get busy.
We change the world in history right here where we're from. It's new beginning.
And again, we are. Oh, put that right back there. All right. Next up, it is our daily bread because that's how we roll around here. Our daily bread. We have to get a daily bread and a word from on high, something to get your day started. You know, I'll tell people there's no such thing as a bad day, and there isn't. There are bad things that happen in the day, but the day itself is still pretty good. If you don't believe me, this weekend I got a funeral of a friend of mine, and he's not here. So there's no such thing. Remember this: there's no such thing as a bad day. They're just things that happen in the day sometimes that are not so good, but that's okay. We will make it through. So, next up, our daily bread. We'll be right back.
Grateful heart with such sweet ease. Thank you, Lord, for every breath I...
Hi there, and welcome to today's encouragement from Our Daily Bread. Today's reading, titled The Purple Shawl, was written by So Chi Dixon. While serving as my mom's live-in caregiver at a cancer center hundreds of miles away from my home, I asked people to pray for us. As the months passed, isolation and loneliness sapped my strength. How could I care for my mom if I gave in to my physical, mental, and emotional exhaustion? One day, a friend sent me an unexpected care package. Jody had crocheted a purple prayer shawl, a warm reminder that we had people praying for us daily. Whenever I wrapped the soft yarn around my shoulders, I felt God hugging me with the prayers of His people. Years later, He still uses that purple shawl to comfort me and strengthen my resolve. The Apostle Paul affirmed the importance and spirit-refreshing power of praying for others in the book of Romans. Through his passionate request for prayerful support and encouragement during his travels, Paul demonstrated how those who pray for others become partners in ministry. Offering specific requests, the apostle not only showed his dependence on the support of fellow believers, but his trust that God powerfully answers prayer. We'll all experience days when we feel alone, but Paul shows us how to ask for prayer as we pray for others. When we're wrapped in the intercessory prayers of God's people, we can experience God's strength and comfort no matter where life takes us. Today's Our Daily Bread devotional scripture reading is from Romans chapter 15, verses 23 through 33. But now that there is no more place for me to work in these regions, and since I have been longing for many years to visit you, I plan to do so when I go to Spain. I hope to see you while passing through and to have you assist me on my journey there after I have enjoyed your company for a while. Now, however, I am on my way to Jerusalem in the service of the Lord's people there. For Macedonia and Achaia were pleased to make a contribution for the poor among the Lord's people in Jerusalem. They were pleased to do it, and indeed they owe it to them. For if the Gentiles have shared in the Jews' spiritual blessings, they owe it to the Jews to share with them their material blessings. So after I have completed this task, and have made sure that they have received this contribution, I will go to Spain and visit you on the way. I know that when I come to you, I will come in the full measure of the blessing of Christ. I urge you, brothers and sisters, by our Lord Jesus Christ, and by the love of the Spirit, to join me in my struggle by praying to God for me. Pray that I may be kept safe from the unbelievers in Judea, and that the contribution I take to Jerusalem may be favorably received by the Lord's people there, so that I may come to you with joy, by God's will, and in your company be refreshed. The God of peace be with you all. Amen. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for Paul's urging that the believers pray on his behalf. Help us to do the same for others who are hurting, feeling lonely, or just needing answers. Your promise to be with us wherever we are fills us with peace when we need it most. And as we pray for others, may your peace fill them too. Thank you, Lord. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Today's encouragement was provided by Our Daily Bread Ministries.
Time to rise and shine. Damn, I'm coming here too. That's right. These are our own kids in Montgomery, Alabama. That's right. Okay, Millie. That's right. Thank you. Millen International Academy. Yeah, Tony. All right. Now, I was going to play a thing like I normally do on Friday, but I found something this morning that was interesting. And since Alabama Power is on everybody's mind lately, somebody sent me some information about it. A little video, not very long, but I want to share this with you guys because it's an interesting. Now, I had never heard of a company doing anything like this before, but there are a lot of things that I haven't heard of before, so that's really not a big deal. But I think this is something that is that you may want to know about. Okay, and for those who don't know, for folks who are not from Alabama, I think I'm just going to play this because I don't know if I was a company, I'd want to have this on my on my resume. I don't think I would, but however, it is here, and let's see what this is all about. Anyway, so evidently, Alabama Power in the beginnings, I guess, a lot of these dams around here are man-made, and in order to make those dams, I'd heard this before, but I just didn't really believe it. I said nobody's going to do that to a whole city, put a whole city underwater. and you know, the town Alabama drowned for a lake. Yeah, I found this interesting. It's a town beneath Lake Martin, as a matter of fact. Those folks ought to be feeling guilty up there now. But however, let me play this for you guys once, because you know something you may not have ever heard of. So let's see if we can go there now.
Power decided to build Lake Martin, and to do it, they had to flood an entire town off the 20s. Alabama Power decided to build Lake Martin,
And yet, this was done in the 20s.
and to do it, they had to flood an entire town off the map. Hundreds of families were forced out, homes demolished, and a community called Coaliga disappeared underwater forever. Before the dam was built, Coaliga was a thriving town with stores, churches, a school, and a cemetery where generations were buried. The power company gave residents notice to leave, tore down what they could, and let the rest sink as the Tallapoosa River was dammed. For decades, Coaliga stayed hidden under Lake Martin, where people skied and fished with no idea a town was below them. But when severe droughts hit and the lake level drops, the ruins emerge, house foundations, old roads, tombstones from the cemetery sticking out of the water. People are filming it now, posting videos going viral because most Alabamians never knew an entire town was sacrificed to create the lake where they vacation every summer, and now those ruins are rising from the mud. In the 1920s, Alabama Power decided to build Lake Martin, and to do it, they had to flood an entire town off the map. Hundreds of families were forced out, homes demolished, and a community called Coaliga.
I never knew that. That is that's something to have on your resume as a town. And now you're gonna screw us over with the high prices, with the high prices of gasoline and all that stuff. And that's not very nice. I didn't. Wow, how did that happen? You never hear that part about Alabama Power, do you? And again, the people they did this back in the 1920s. So I'm trying to make sure I get my comments back here again. Okay, so there we go. But anyway, they did it back in the 1920s, so I guess that just kind of like allows it to be gone, I guess. Okay then. Anyway, good morning to you. I just thought you might wanna know about that. Okay. Anyway, good morning to you. Hope that they find you well. It is 7:24 in the morning. It looks as if the let me get rid of that right quick. It looks like as if the uh, okay, stop that. There we go. So it looks as if the SAVE Act is actually passed, are going to pass. I've never seen people, honestly, I've never seen people so scared of identifying themselves. I mean, this is almost, it's almost like we're a town full of illiterates, a state full of illiterate people in America now. ID is just something that, I mean, don't you want to know that the vote that you're taking, as soon as I can get this thing off in front of my face right here, but don't you want to know that people who are actually voting are actually authorized to vote? I mean, what is so wrong with that? I just I and listen, okay, my people, people look like me, okay, people look like me, okay. I'm just saying, are we the only group of people in America that can't seem to figure out how to get to the voting booth? And I know old people get places where they want to get. Okay, as a matter of fact, back in the day, old people walked to the polling booth, even under a barrage of terrible treatment. Okay, so now we and they would have been glad to show their ID because it was a right that somebody fought for them for. So why can somebody please tell me what the big deal is? I mean, honestly, what is the big deal about telling people about showing people your ID? I mean, are we really that scared? I mean, seriously, are we really that scared of just letting people know, who we are? I mean, unless you are a felon fleeing justice, like most of us probably could be. Um, I'm just I'm just perplexed. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. Why we raising so much hell of showing people who we are? Again, if Roscoe had the Valentine's Day party downtown at the Coliseum like it used to, and they said, "Yo, you can get a ticket, but you got to have some ID." Nobody would mind having ID. I mean, really, nobody would care about having ID. Okay, so somebody please tell me why is it? Why is it that we, okay, looks like you. That's true. But anyway, so get the story straight before you tell the lie. Someone has fed you this morning. Fed me what this morning? What that wasn't well, listen. Somebody sent that to me. It's not true that Alabama Power didn't. I mean, what story you tell me? Which one you talking about, woman? Tell me. Tell me. It wasn't the first cap. Oh, so Montgomery wasn't the first capital. So why did they change? Why did they change? You think the bill is for blacks? Well, it seems like we're the only people in America that are whining about it. I mean, and the Democrats use black folks' plight every time they want some propaganda to go out. They use black people. Now, show me, are the Hispanics in this country whining all over the nation about the SAVE Act? Who are the Indians whining about it? Who's always screaming racism or something like that when something like this happens? Who? It's us. It's us. It's like we're the only disabled people in America sometimes that can't get to the voting booth, can't do this, can't do that. Okay, I'm not whining. Oh, listen. I don't care about Save Act. I got my IDs and all that stuff. I don't care about it. Okay, I got the little star on the card and all that stuff. I didn't like doing that, but I did it anyway. So I'm not. But who else? Just tell me who else. When you look at the Democratic Party and when you look at those guys in Washington D.C., they're always putting a picture of black people up who can't get it. And if you go down the streets of America, it says even white people will say, and they did many interviews. Well, black people they can't get to the polls. They don't have this and they don't have that. How do they know what the hell we got? I mean, we can get to the polls if we want to get to the polls. We can get there. Okay. I mean, I just want to hear one reasonable argument why you would not want to show your ID and why you can. And this thing about women getting married and all that stuff. Then when you go register to vote, just take your birth certificate with you and put it in that name. We ain't gonna know that you married when you come to the polls. Nobody's gonna know that you married some guy and took his name. Can't you still use your real name, your own name when you get married? You don't have to take somebody's name, do you? Is that a law or something? Okay. No, you don't have to. But they said now this is now again. People keep saying it's to vote. It is not so you can vote. It is so you can register to vote. Okay, register to vote. Okay, and I don't blame them. It's not a blank. It's a oh, okay. And what group of people, my friend? 98% of us who vote are Democrats. What group of people? hmm What group of people? Because it's us. It's black folks. So we've been voting the same way, the same, and getting the same crap every 4 years, and we just seem to like it. We just seem to like it. How to say? It's like drinking poison and expecting the other guy to fall down. Okay, so just tell me who else are they talking about? Go on TV. You'll see Jeffries and all them folks. It's always about the black folks. Because we're the only group of people in America that vote the way we do. There is no other group in this country. We've been saying that for years, that at a 98 percentile for the ones who do vote, they vote one way. There is no other group, no other statistical analysis, no other statistic that would suggest that anybody else votes 98% for the ones who vote for one party. They're just, Now, last night I heard something about um, an open ballot, which I'm all for it. So we don't have to sit there and pick Democrat or Republican. We can go in there and take that little ballot thing and put anybody we want to put on there. We don't have to be we don't have to be this sheep led by other sheep. Okay, and ending up where all the sheep end up at. Okay, on somebody's coat or their shoes. So I'm just telling you, we have to be more independent. Yeah, I have to be more. I don't care if you vote Democrat. I don't care. I don't care. The problem is nobody should know what 33 million people, the preponderance of 33 million people, are gonna vote. Nobody should know that. The Democrats don't have to work for your vote anymore. They don't. They just don't do it. And the Republicans won't work for you because they know that you've been brainwashed enough to all you should vote is Democrat. So it's not helping us. And I don't belong to that group. Okay. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. But since when you go to the polls, you have to vote for one or the other. So I have to take the best of the worst in my mind and vote. If I'm going to vote, I got to vote for either a Democrat or a Republican, or you can put your name on the ballot yourself. You can write your own, you can do write-in, but that's just a total waste of time. Total waste of time. Okay? Because I did that one time. And I did when I went to WSFA's website, I didn't even see my name on there. So you see, it's a total waste of time to write in. Total waste of time. They don't even count you. Okay. Okay. Because they have multiple IDs. Okay, good, Richard. So again, I don't know what the hoopla is all about. Again, Roscoe had the Valentine's Day parade. I mean, the Valentine's Day dance every year, and he said, "Now you got to get some ID to come get the ticket. We'll be down there getting them tickets, brother. We'll show our ID, and Lord have mercy, don't let Church's Chicken or Popeye Chicken say we're gonna give free chicken away, but you got to have two IDs, brother. We'll be down at the probate court right now, getting the ID before they even open." So I don't know. The brainwashing in America has been successful. Yeah, it has been successful. Okay. Your group has been the only group trying to purge the voter rolls with new rules because we seem to not to be able. Okay, again, what's wrong with new rules? What's wrong? What's wrong with rules? I mean, well, let me ask. Do we value the vote or not? Because if we don't value the vote, then doggone it, we let them do as they will. Yeah, Don.
I don't think you really know what you're talking about. The SAVE Act will not be passed because it still had to have a 60 vote threshold.
Well, somebody passed it the other day. Was the House?
No, they passed it. Well, the House passed it a long time ago.
Oh,
but they don't require a 60 vote threshold. But they'd have to have a lot more than that. But they just have a majority vote. But the Democrats will never let the SAVE Act pass, so there ain't no need to talk about it. Let me ask you something about this town. You think Alabama Power did that?
Well, that's what the video said.
Well, what about this? How would Alabama Power just take people's property without being the?
Well,
the
wait a minute.
government?
Because in the 1920.
No,
wait. In the
still
19.
the government.
Well,
you don't
again,
know what you're talking about. You don't.
Wait a minute.
You're
That's why I gave you. That's why I gave you the video. I didn't put the video out.
The town was covered with water, but because it was in a hole. You know what the dam did for people?
What they do? Well, it ran those
you have
people out of
any
their home.
idea? They had no power.
Mhm.
They had no electricity. They had no lights.
Mhm. Wait a minute. So
And-
how,
and
wait a
the-
minute.
and the-
So
the
how did they have
government-
businesses?
The
How did they have
government took
businesses?
that land. The government made that land available to Alabama Power. Alabama Power just didn't say, "I'm gonna flood your town."
Okay, so the homes and the businesses that this.
You think that Alabama's the only place that happened?
Well, I don't know. It didn't happen
It
in my
happened in
town.
Tennessee. If you didn't have any energy at that time. Lives were not that good. You didn't have
Okay.
no lights. You didn't have no fans, no motors. You didn't have nothing because
So-
you didn't have electricity.
Well, so why did they say that their homes and their businesses and their churches were if they didn't have any lights or anything? How did they have businesses?
Well, why don't you do some study? Where do you think where did they get their electricity for the dam?
Well, I don't know. But
Then why are you talking about stuff?
Wait a minute,
Why
wait a
don't you
minute.
study?
How did we get lights before anybody had electricity? Still had lights.
They burned candles.
Okay, and kerosene things. So
Yeah.
I mean, again, I didn't make the story up. This is just something. The 19 and 20.
But they try to make it into a race thing when it happened all up. It even happened in Tennessee. Every place where they had only way they could generate electricity at that time was a dam and water.
Yeah.
Now what do? You keep griping about Alabama Power. How do they generate electricity now?
How does who do?
How do they generate electricity
Oh, I
now?
don't care. As long as I hit the flip and the lights come on, I don't
Yeah,
care.
well, you ought to educate yourself. If you don't bitch about something
I don't-
every day,
Well,
why don't you learn how power is generated and what it costs? They have to buy coal or gas to fire up the things that create the steam, and it costs them money.
Well, that's
And
because
all those
we
things
won't.
are going up.
Wait a minute. That's partly because we won't let people build nuclear
Do you
plants.
know Alabama Power? They actually have I don't know what you call it. It's not a procedure, but it's a form. They have that they go by to see if Alabama Power has authority to raise their rates. They don't just say, "Okay, raise your rates, Alabama."
Oh, really?
Alabama Power has to prove to them
What,
that their rates
now
have
that's
gone
what
up,
you
or
talking
their
about
cost of
PSC.
generating electricity gone up.
That's crap. All these people got screwed by
No, it
Alabama
ain't crap. You're
Power.
ignorant.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
ignorant.
That's crap. You can't.
No,
tell
you're
me,
ignorant.
you
You're
can't-
ignorant. You don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, you cannot tell me that 1 month your bill is this, and the next month your bill is.
I don't have no problems with my bill.
Well,
My
a lot
bill
of
is
people-
the same
a lot of
every
people
month.
do. A lot of people do.
I don't know about a lot of people. You always say a lot of people
Oh.
this or that, and I only hear your mouth. It's only your mouth
No.
complaining.
No.
Are you such a broke person nowadays? You can't even afford to keep your lights on.
Wait a minute. I had
Maybe you need a helping hand.
I had people on the other morning, and it's still on the Facebook.
Yeah, and
page.
they were ignorant too. They're just
Okay.
like you
Well, so
talking about
everybody's ignorant but
Chinese
you.
satellites.
So everybody's ignorant
Chinese
but you?
satellites. What they talking
Well,
about?
she
Chinese
did.
satellites?
Now, when she did use Chinese salad, she said that she wasn't sure. She said that's what she heard.
Well, she's stupid. You know, just
That's
like
what
you
she heard.
talking stuff. I had enough of this morning. Can't stand no more. I hope Camilla was able to hear me.
I think she did. I think everybody heard you. But anyway, listen, I didn't put the story out. That story. Matter of fact, I've heard that story. I've heard that story many times. I just didn't believe that we could do that to people. But I guess they did back in the 1920s. But now he said they didn't have no power. They didn't have this, they had, and I don't know if they had it or not. But how are you going to run businesses and things like that, the churches and all that stuff with no power? I mean, how did they? So they justified it by what? I mean, if they had thriving businesses, then evidently they were getting along pretty good without Alabama Power. Anyway. Oh, she said nobody says anything about that. Okay, listen. We know the Constitution doesn't say anything about Republican or Democrats or anything like that. That's freedom of speech. That's a freedom of speech issue. If like-minded people want to get together and create an organization, then that's what they do. Whether it's political organization or a social club, whatever the case may be, they have the right to do that. That's called speech. And if you believe in these tenets, if you believe in this and you believe in that, then you are a Republican or a Democrat if you believe in these things. Problem is, black folks voting Democrat don't know what Democrats believe. They really don't know. They just really don't know. They don't know. If they knew that it was the Democrats who came up with Jim Crow laws, if they know it's the Democrats that tried to stop people from getting their civil rights, then we probably would think. But a lot of them don't know because all they do is bring us a box of chicken and give us a food stamp, and all of a sudden we think they're nice people. Well, listen, for all the money that my mother didn't get a chance to make when she was coming up because they denied her, they owed me some food stamps. Something. Well, they don't owe me. I've been all right, but still. Anyway, moving right along to other things. I don't know how this came up again this morning, but we are some of the whiningest people I have ever seen. Like we just can't get an ID. We just can't get one. We just can't get one. Now, speaking of crime again, crime. See, speaking of crime, here we go. Here we go. Another story for the books. For the books. Another story showing people robbing other people in the city of Montgomery. Okay. Or whatever the case may be. Okay. And here we go. There we go, right there. Another brother, young. These are the people we were talking about yesterday. Of course, going in and robbing people. Okay. It happened Sunday on the 4300 block of South Court Street. Okay. They're seeking the public's assistance and finding these little YNs and hopefully put their butt in jail. Okay. That's what we're looking for. We ain't found them yet, but we're looking for. Okay. So if you see them, call the police or call Crime Stoppers. It's not 911, 215 something. 215 stop 7867. Or you can text 215 stop. Okay. And to 738477. So y'all be all right. Is it right here? Yeah, that is right there. Okay. So Crime Stoppers. But again, the YNs are out of control. Okay. They're out of control. They're just shooting at people. Witnesses say the shots were fired from a white Chevrolet Silverado and drove away immediately after the shooting started. So after shooting ended. So, here they are. There they are. These are the ones we were talking about yesterday. Where their daddy at? Somebody tell me where their daddy is. I don't have a clue. But anyway, those are the ones we were talking about yesterday out there wreaking havoc on all parts of our society. I don't know why, where it came from, how it got there. But one thing about it, talking about it, on the radio, don't exactly, or not the radio, whatever the podcast, it doesn't really do much good. I agree with Camilla on that one. It doesn't do much good until you can get some fathers. I think you need to read your own article. Well, what did I miss? Y'all always say, tell me what I missed. When you call up and say I did something, then tell me what I did or tell me what I missed. Because see, I skim through these things. I don't have time to read all the articles. Okay. And how many Montgomery Democrats recognize the YNs? I don't know. I have 100 shares, and okay. Well, I hope you're making money. Let me see what else is going on out in the world. Whining. That's not whining time. Having been a few places overseas, here's what I find. I find that everybody in every country, in every language, we all got the same problems. They just say it differently, but we all got the same problems. Okay. We do. We all got the same problem. Okay. Now, Julie Beard, who is one of our local city council people, is going to, on Monday, is planning a town hall meeting with residents in her district, plus an Easter egg hunt for the children. I'm still trying to figure out what eggs got to do with Easter, but that's okay. Beard says she hosts a town hall meeting once a quarter to hear from people in her part of the city. This will be her 10th town hall meeting. She expects that people will have questions about road work, sanitation, and other issues. The town hall meeting will be Monday. That's this coming Monday from 6 to 7 p.m. at Dalreda Baptist Church at 3838 Wares Ferry Road. The Easter egg hunt will feature the Easter Bunny himself. Okay. Plenty of eggs for children and ages 12 what up to 12 years old. Okay, so if you're grown, you can't come out there and get a dozen eggs. Okay, of course they already be cooked. I don't know. I may not be right there. Also, Montgomery's Riverwalk Stadium. That's right. It's going to get a new name. Or already has Dabos, Dabos, which is an equipment supply company, I guess, that they give to the baseball team. So Montgomery's Riverwalk Stadium is no more. It is called Dabos, Dabos. Team leaders say the change represents a shared vision of honoring the history and tradition of baseball in the city of Montgomery. I don't know if we have baseball in South Bend. I don't think we do. We got Notre Dame. Once you got Notre Dame, you don't need anything else. I'm just saying, y'all need a lot of things down there because, you know, you don't have you just don't have. Okay. Now coming up at 8 o'clock, I got somebody showing up today who wants to be your next state senator in District 26, I believe. She's going to try to be that Farrah. Never mind. I'll let her pronounce her own name when she gets here. Okay. So, someone have plenty. Okay. So, are we done complaining now? Okay. I still don't understand why people don't want to, why ID is a big deal. And Dr. Joe, then what was the first capital of Alabama? Was it Birmingham? You would think it'd be Birmingham or Huntsville. I mean, Huntsville is the place that you want to be sometimes. So, what? Anybody know what the first capital was? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care, but I guess nobody's capital now was the first capital when they formed the state. But the thing that always I'm wondering, how did we geographically, how did we design the footprint of the states? Because we didn't have no airplanes back in the day, in the 1700s and all that. So how did we design the footprint of each state? Like Indiana looks like a cowboy boot. Okay, if you ever look at it, it looks like my home state. It looks like a cowboy boot geographically from the sky. So who came up with that? I just don't know. Let me see here now. Yeah, Duke. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I didn't put my hold on a second. I don't think I put my. See, I keep, but at least I called it my own self this time. Okay, I
What
called it.
happened?
I had to make sure that people get. Okay, now go ahead. What were you saying?
All right. You keep on talking about the voting thing here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Could you give me a number of how many illegal sites? See, I hear to talk about they try to protect the illegals from voting. For voting, So as we both understand, Calvin, the number is very, very, very low. If any at all, illegals voting.
Let me ask you a question. How many votes does it take to win or lose?
That's not the point. The point is that
that is the point. That is the point.
No, listen. So
answer my question first. How many votes does it take to win or lose?
It depends.
No, it doesn't depend.
It does depend.
No, it doesn't.
Most elections here, they call the damn thing off before all the votes are counted.
You see, I knew you were smarter than I thought.
My point is, dude.
Well, wait a minute.
Huh?
How many votes can a person win by or lose by?
It depends. I say.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Why they call votes? Why they call a race early then when the voting's going on?
And I think they shouldn't. But again, how many votes? You said it don't make no difference. How many votes can you win by?
It depends.
How many votes can you
but
lose
you're trying to voice. So you're trying to get me to get some number here. I don't know.
No,
but what I'm saying,
one number.
My point is though. Wait a minute now. My point is, you trying to get off the damn. You see how you throw people off a little taste in the morning. My point is, Kevin, to you, I want to talk about the subject matter at hand. All I've been hearing about is, the illegals. Tommy Tuberville on TV. That's all he talk about. What Trump will say or whatever.
How many votes can you win or lose by?
But here's my point, Kevin. Why is it that you all highlight that the illegals the ones that the people trying to protect because they don't want all this extra crap, like taking your damn birth certificate to the damn poll site to
No,
vote.
no, you don't have to
Okay,
take it to the
and
poll
all that old
site.
crap.
You
So,
take it to
so
register.
you guys want to, but you putting it on the illegals. The reason you're doing that to keep the illegals from
Okay.
voting. Hell, have you taken all of them out of the country already?
Wait a minute.
Aren't they most of them gone?
You don't
Aren't
have
most
to
of them
be.
gone?
Wait a minute, of course not. You don't have to be.
Huh?
You don't
Most
have
of them gone, Kevin.
Wait a minute.
Start trying to get some of them back over here ahead to work in the damn farms and
I
stuff
was
like
born
that.
in America, and if I don't
But my
register to
point
vote,
is,
then I
see,
shouldn't vote.
no, see, your party get this old sticking point. See, talking about, want to scare people, talking about what the illegals doing. Like one time, they was all the murderers and stuff and thieves. So y'all got all these bad people out, okay? So now you want to focus on the damn voting. Now how in the hell these people voting when they're gone, Kevin?
And
You
again,
took them out.
and again, I'm asking you one
So
question.
my point is, if
Yeah.
you want me to give you numbers, I'm not going to give you any numbers.
Okay.
I do my research before I run my mouth like you do.
Sure you
I
do.
go study that. I give you a number later on.
Sure you do.
But
Wait a minute. You don't need to
my
study
point is
this.
to you.
You don't
My
need to
point is
study
to you.
this.
Why in the hell should I take a watermelon
What?
and some jelly beans and stuff to the polls nowadays? 2026 style.
So
calling
who is
it,
telling? So who is
birth
telling somebody to bring
certificate
watermelon and
and,
jelly beans to the poll? Who's telling?
They renamed it. They renamed it birth certificate and passport. Here. Now.
Okay.
All right.
I hear it. See, he wouldn't answer the question because he knew the answer. You can win an election or you can lose an election by only one vote. One vote. That's all it takes. One. Okay. And if that one vote is illegal, then it should not be cast. Man, I just got done talking to you.
Yeah, but I can't. I ain't got no comments. And you asked for some education.
Oh, yeah.
State capitals. When Alabama first started, when I was in elementary school and stuff, they taught Alabama history. I don't know what they teach now. Obviously, the kids ain't learning nothing. They don't learn to read right. But anyway, there was over a period of about 40 years, there was 5 different places in the state of Alabama they called capital.
Mm-hmm.
And about 1846, they decided on Montgomery because it was in the middle of the state. And that's been the capital ever since.
Yeah. And looking at the map, it is in the middle of the
state.
state.
So ignorant. He just said that most of the illegals have gone back.
That's what he said.
That's ignorant. Biden let 20 million into the country. There's been about 1 million that's been sent back. And who runs the voting, say, in Montgomery?
Well, the county does.
Is it white people?
Well, not at the moment because they all left.
No, they ain't left. But in most of these big cities and places, it's run by Negroes. So I don't think Duke has to bring a watermelon, does he?
Hold on a second. Let me. All right, I had to get rid of that. Yeah, say that again.
I say in most of these big cities, they're run by blacks. You got Love here in Montgomery.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Duke has to bring a watermelon to vote here, does he?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I love watermelons, but I don't. They're too heavy to take to the polls, so they got to give me some.
It's just stupidity. All they're asking for is they're not asking you to bring anything to the polls other than an ID card. They're asking that when you sign up, you prove that you're a citizen. In a lot of these countries around the world, you got to do a lot more to vote. I mean, you go to some of these places, they put a big old ink spot in the middle of your head, but heaven forbid we have to prove that we're actually citizens in the state of Alabama. And even if you don't have a birth certificate or anything else, there are amendments to allow you to get registered on the poll. So all of it's just garbage and lies or anything. You just have to prove that you're a citizen to vote. Boy, that's so much to ask. When you let in 20 million people to try to change the demographics of the country, it's too much to ask that you prove that you're a citizen.
All right, appreciate it. Also, now some good news. Some good news. I know it's not going to be good news for everyone, but there's some good news, and that good news is that Deuce Conrad, the 26th annual picnic, was canceled in Montgomery, Alabama. Montgomery Police Department announced yesterday that the 26th annual Deuce Conrad picnic, previously scheduled for March the 23rd at Gateway Park, will no longer take place at that location. Now, I know why. Y'all know why. We know why. Okay? Because they took something that could have been that was good. I think kids getting together, things getting together, celebration, and just screwed it all up. MPD said that the decision was made um, to move the event out of the abundance of caution following extended review and coordination with organizers and community members. Our top priority, of course, is safety because we know that people start shooting at these things and somebody gonna die. Okay, Chief Grayboy said after extensive coordination with organizers and the community, we determined that the canceling of the event at Gateway Park is the most responsible step to reserve safety. Organizers, of course, have not announced a new venue for the event, but said they will update the public as more information becomes available. Okay, then. Also, Ibrahim Yazid was found guilty of the Anaya death. What kind of man does that? I mean, really, what kind of man does that? There's some evil people in the world. They just are evil people in the world. I don't know if we can do anything about it. I guess they've always been there, always will be there. Okay, and stuff like that. Representatives have passed HB 541 yesterday. The bill would require voters to register with parties in order to participate in the party's primary election. People looking to participate in the Republican Party primary would have to register as a Republican, and people looking to participate in the Democratic Party primary would have to register as a Democrat. I just think that sucks. I think you go in there, you get a ballot, you pick who you want to pick. This thing about we got to have this allegiance to a party that gives that party too much power. Okay. It is incumbent upon all of us in the legislative process to do all we can to reinforce voter integrity, said Representative Ernie Yarbrough, a Republican from Trinity, the bill's sponsor. Representative Yarbrough said that the bill is an effort to secure the state's election. Well, the best way to secure the state's election, in my mind, is that you don't have to belong to a party. Okay, you shouldn't have to belong to a party. The only party you need to belong to is to be a citizen of the United States of America. And when you go in that booth, nobody should know whether you vote Democrat or Republican, whichever one you want. Well, it should be an open primary. Okay, forget this party. This party thing has not done anything for the poor folks. Okay, it just makes a lot of big bucks, a whole lot of money, and give them a whole lot of control. Okay, and that party thing, and give you the case. When a couple of years ago, when a lawyer friend of mine, Fernando, he came in second because what they did was they disqualified a woman who was running for judge. I can't remember her name right now. The Democratic Party disqualified her. Now, not us. No. She was disqualified because of whatever reason. Well, normally, when you have two people running and one gets disqualified, automatically the one that's left gets to take the position. But the Democratic Party went all the way to Birmingham and brought somebody down here and put them in the chair. Okay. And if that's what parties do, then we don't want no part of that. Okay. Fernando, he actually won that primary, but they screwed him. Okay. So I'm just telling you, this party thing ain't about that. And that's both sides of it. That's both sides of it. I mean, I think the Republican Party has done something like that before too. Okay. But anyway, so much for that. So I say let's have open voting. Okay. Uh-oh. There we go. How are done talking to you, man? Don, you need to get a new account
Well,
so you
fix
can
my comments, but here I got to help somebody out here.
Yeah.
There's no requirement to re-register under the SAVE Act. Did you get that?
There's no requirement. All right.
To re-register unless you move out of the district that you are and you have to register to vote for some other place, then you have to acquire the citizenship or you're a new voter. But if you're registered to vote, there's no requirement for you to go re-register in the SAVE Act.
Okay, that's
So
information.
there's not going to be masses of millions of people going down there trying to re-register.
And there would be no
Only if
reason
you
to.
prove- Let's say one of these little college students who live, say, in Huntsville, want to come down to Montgomery and re-register or vote in Montgomery. They have to register to vote in Montgomery. They would have to prove their citizenship. You understand?
Yeah.
You think that'll help anybody?
Yeah, I think it will.
But there's no requirement to re-register under the SAVE Act.
Okay. Appreciate you. Sometimes he does bring information. The 5 capitals of Alabama history is St. Stephen's, wherever the world that is, Huntsville, which makes sense to me, Cahaba, I thought that was something that you put on pork chops. Cahaba, Tuscaloosa, and Montgomery. So I guess Montgomery's been the capital for the longest, I guess. I don't know. Okay, then. Well, that's good. I'm good with that. Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah. I just know only capital I know about is Washington, D.C. and Indianapolis. Although South Bend should be the capital since that's where Notre Dame is. I mean, everything comes down from Notre Dame. But I appreciate that, Ms. Camilla, that you let us know. Okay. Now here's something else that's going on in the House of Representatives that they got another act. We got the SAVE Act and we got the Choose Act. Okay. It allows students to play high school sports even if they how's it go? Alabama lawmakers clash over first responder buffer zone. That ain't the one. The legislation is related to the disagreement between the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the state. And evidently, the state said if you come from one school to another, you have to set out why. I don't know. This is not college. I mean, you just put on some cleats and stuff like that and move on up. I hope they don't start paying high schoolers name and likeness. I hope they don't do that. I mean, I can understand college, but high school, nah. I don't think we should do that. Gonna have a lot more people getting robbed. Police making Lincoln Raleigh Act. Okay, then what else is going? There's going to be utter chaos at the polls. Just what Trump wants. Now, why does Trump's not running for president no more? Why does he want it? I mean, really. I mean, listen. And then didn't Trump get involved in something with the Japanese emperor the other day, or whoever that was down there? Didn't he make a joke about Pearl Harbor? Sometimes he just I like him, but sometimes he just need to know how to shut up. Just be. You're not a talk show host, Mr. President. You're president, and when I say things, nobody really gives a crap about it most of the time. But when you say things, man, the gas go up. Planes start falling out the air. I mean, all kind of things. People start going to war. Can somebody call Washington D.C. and tell him just kind of like, let his professional communication people talk, because he is not the world's greatest communicator. He's just not. He just not. I know the spirit by which he. I know the spirit of which he says things, and I go along with the spirit. They don't have NIL in high school already, do they? I didn't change the name of the show, man. Are they doing NIL in high school? Okay. And let's be honest, high school. I mean, sports is it's kind of like a slavery thing, they pay you a little money. That's because they know you ain't gonna keep it all. They know that they're gonna figure out how to get it back from you. Okay, so one way or the other, they'll send their daughters and their cousins in to fall in love with you, and then they'll take your money. Okay, I'm just saying. So it's kind of like a slavery thing, giving all this money to these kids who ain't never had money. Hell, somebody give me $1 million right now. Well, now I would know what to do with it right now, but I wouldn't have known what to do with $1 million. 18, 19, 21 years old. I wouldn't have known. I'd have been broke for the night was over. Okay, because I'd have bought everybody something. Well, I don't know what school. I didn't know that. Oh well, that's gonna be something else that destroys the high school the high school environment. Okay. Now we're already destroying the college environment with this stuff. Okay. Now we are going to destroy. Well, now I would be all right with this if they gave the smartest guy in the math class NIL. Okay. I'd be all right with that. If we gave the guy, the smartest guy in biology NIL. Okay. If we gave the guy in the philosophy class, the smartest guy in philosophy class, give him some NIL, I'd be all right for that. Yeah. But why is it that we think only athletes who are some of the dumbest people on a college campus need all that money and I don't? Okay. And it ain't their fault. We let them go through high school not being able to read, not being able to write, but because they can run the hell out of a football, then we just say, let them pass, let them through. Okay. I don't blame them. But then they turn around. If you can't understand financial management, which I don't never had much money to manage, but I could have did a better job of what I had. I ain't gonna lie to you, especially with that 401k thing. Oh, I don't want to think about that. It just makes me upset. Anyway, so why don't we give everybody some of that NIL money? Okay, because if I'm the smartest guy in the class in the school, I should get some NIL money. That's right. I don't know where my guest is for this hour, but maybe she'll show up later on. But again, and get the smartest guy in the classroom needs NIL money. Okay. And his name put on the outside of the school on a plaque each year. And then we give people a little change to go with that. Okay. I mean, since we're passing out money in high school now, then why not pass it out to a little bit of everybody? Okay, why just give it to the football players who really are traditionally some of the dumbest people on campus? And that's either college or high school. We love them. We still love them. That's cool. We still love them, but they ain't the brightest. They're not the brightest. They're not the sharpest knife in the drawer most of the time, and that's only because nobody mandated that they be this strong. All we wanted to do is have strong legs, strong arms, and be in shape. Kind of like high class slavery. Okay, something like that, because you ain't gonna keep the money, no way. How did you get through high school? You don't read. I read the things I wanted to read. See, I was reading Karl Marx, James Ingalls, Thomas Paine, things of that nature. So I read what I want to read. If I don't want to read it, I don't want to read it. It's boring. Especially when you ain't got no pictures in the book. Dude, you must don't have much to do.
I mean, nope. He done threw a little crap my way. I would need to respond to this right here. He's lying. They are trying to force people to, like he said, when you go in to re-register, see if you change over to a different city.
Okay,
that's what he said. That's what I'm going by what he said. What Curmudgeon said. He said if some of these college really coming out here.
But you got to be able to prove
my
who
point
you
is,
are.
I know that you already know who the hell you are.
But
they already know who you are. They already know who you are. You're already in the system. What I'm saying already, okay? I'm in the system. Hell, I got Social Security number and all that stuff. Sure, okay, you got one.
Yeah, I'm sure, guy.
Don't they? What they go by most of the time? Your Social Security number, right?
Yeah, we're talking about that. My guest has actually showed up here now, so I'm glad I'm done with this conversation for the time being. Good morning, Farrah.
Good morning. It's Phaedra. I'll let you call me what you want.
No. Phaedra, if that's your name, what does that mean? What does that mean?
It means bright and shining one. It is from Greek mythology, but actually, my dad was always into music. And so there's a song by Lee Hazelwood and Nancy Sinatra called Some Velvet Morning. And then I was named from that song.
Okay, that's good. See, I knew yesterday when I asked about that, I said, it sounds like a Greek name or something that, so I figured that. Anyway, so tell folks a little about who you are and the seat you're running for.
All right, I am Phaedra Carson Foster. I am running for Alabama Senate District 25. I am an educator. I have been teaching at the collegiate level for almost 2 decades. My specialty is English composition, but I also teach humanities. I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Alabama, a master's from AUM, and I have a master's in legal studies from WashU School of Law. I have been married for 100 years. My husband is a local businessman, and I have 2 children, one of whom is getting married this coming October.
Okay, October. That's a long way to wait. He could change his mind between now and then.
Well, as long as he's happy.
Okay, that's good. Okay, and you are running for which seat? And tell me why.
I am running for Senate District 25, which is one of the newly redistricted senates as a result of, I guess, litigation. I am running because I think that it's time for us to change the way that we do politics in our area. I have been an advocate for policy for a while now, and I just think that the next logical step is for me to become a policymaker. So I know I have the skills to do the job, and I just think it's time.
Okay, now spell your name so I can put your name on the screen.
Phadra.
Okay, and you are running for District 26.
25.
Oh, my bad. Okay, State Senate. Mhm.
State Senate. Currently, the area is represented by Barfoot, but as a result of redistricting, he is now running for 26.
Okay, which is the one that Hatcher had.
Yes, so that is now the north side of Montgomery, downtown, and Elmore County. And then Senate District 25 is a large portion of Montgomery and Crenshaw counties.
Mm-hmm. Now, since everybody has to pledge allegiance to a party, which party are you pledging allegiance to?
I am not pledging allegiance to a party, but I am a Democrat, and I'm running as a Democrat.
Mm-hmm. Why Democrat?
Well, I mean, I started off as a Democrat, and I currently probably more aligned with the Democratic Party. I will say, and I talked to you about this a little bit yesterday, that it is becoming more difficult for people to be independent and switch parties. If you wanted to become a Republican, you have to run as a Republican. You have to vote it Republican for 6 years, and they recently kicked somebody from the ballot.
And the Democrats have the same. The Democrats have the same thing, don't they? Well,
don't.
Well, a couple of years ago now, they put somebody off the ballot because they had voted Republican, and they didn't let them run.
You're talking about Archer Davis, and he kept switching back and forth with policies.
This is America.
So full disclaimer here. Yeah. I went to high school with Artur, and I was his deputy campaign manager the first time he ran. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to not be transparent with this. But I mean, he went from.
Where is he at anyway? Anybody heard from him?
I don't know.
Okay.
I do not know.
Okay, let me ask you. So, how many state senators are there? Do you know?
I don't know. You caught me, and I'm going to be honest when I don't know something, but I will be Googling that.
There are, I believe, 40.
Mm-hmm.
40, 45, 45. But we only have five black state senators up there. I'm not a mathematician, but 5 out of 40 is somewhere around 16% of what can you do to further the advancement of the people in your district when you only 16%? Well, you're part of the 16%, which is not a very big number. What can you do by getting that the other guys or anybody else cannot do?
Well, I think the thing is that there's actually a few more Democrats, and then not too many more, but it's not just, yeah, it's 5 Black senators, but I think it's 8 Democrats, and that is designed. But I think when you're at the state level, as particularly in these times, that people are not as lockstep. I think that we're going through some type of evolution in the United States and in the state Senate. So I think that you have a chance to do a little bit more bipartisan working together. I also want to say this, I went to the University of Alabama and I did politics there. And a lot of our politicians in the state started off in the University of Alabama politics. You didn't just, and I was there, I started school there in 87, graduated from undergraduate in 91. You didn't just give up because you were a Black person in the minority. We got a lot accomplished when I was there. I was president of the African American Association, and I got us to the point where we were the highest funded student organization at the school. And I did not necessarily make it just based on race. It was about celebrating culture. And we had white members of our organization. Same thing for the International Student Association. It was about the identity of these organizations and not necessarily about your own personal identity. I've never let race, and I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. I've worked in fair housing, but I've never let somebody limit who I am or what I try to do because of race. That's just not what our ancestors fought for. And it's not what I want my children to take from me. And my daughter actually became an actual SGA senator when she went to Alabama, because I've set this example that your place is wherever you put yourself. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so I have every intention of working, not just across the aisle, but I think when you have good ideas and great ideas even, nobody's going to shun those. I mean, maybe I'm naive, I don't know, but I hope I'm not.
Okay. Let me ask you about some issues. We are in a metamorphosis of sorts of our country's identity at the moment. The things we say we believed in, what we thought we believed in, we don't seem to. We're kind of lost out in space right now, and which is why you're getting a couple of these questions. Should men play on women's sports teams?
I don't really like to weigh into what that is. We're talking about, of course, trans people playing on women's sports teams. And this was brought up because of 2 swimmers getting 5th place.
Yeah, we way behind that one. We talking about a woman who almost get her head knocked off playing volleyball. One team has a man on it, and every time he hit the ball, he like to knock the girl out. So it's more than that. But do you?
But Kelvin, let me say this to you: there is no chance that the Alabama legislature is going to do anything radical when it comes to this issue. And so I sometimes think.
So isn't it time? Hold on a second. Isn't it time that we start dealing with some of these issues, because they're not going away, and somebody's got to have the gonads to deal with the issue. Give me a second.
Do you grocery shop?
Sure.
Okay, so yesterday I went to the store and I was going to buy cheap cuts of meat, and I ended up getting cube steak because I was going to do beef tips. I make dinner here, and sometimes I feed my 85-year-old father. Cube steak, a 3-pack of cube steak costs me $10. That's $3 plus per.
What's that got to do with the?
That's what I'm. Dude.
Oh, hold on a second. So I think somebody wants to ask you a question. If you can hear it, go ahead, Don. Then this is the last call.
Good morning. I just want to say you're a lovely lady, but I have a question for you.
Yes.
You brought up race. Do you think a district ought to be made up on basis of race?
I think districts have been made up on the
That
basis
was a
of
question
race.
for you. Should race be involved in making a district?
I think that the districts have been made up based on race. That's how they've been
But
drawn.
philosophically, do you believe that the overwhelming consideration should be race?
Obviously not. But so here's the thing. Obviously not. But what I do want people to understand is that they have been. I don't, but that's where we are right now.
So would you
And
fight
we
to
have to
change that?
address
Would you
what I
fight to
fight
change
to
that?
change.
Change this whole race schism thing. Everything goes around here has something to do with race.
I mean, obviously, yes, because as long as things are based on race, then that puts us at a disadvantage. But I would have to say that um, I
Wait a minute.
I
Wait a minute.
can't
You
ignore
just
the
wait. Wait.
historical
You
dates
just
of
got
reality.
you just got done saying if it is a good idea, then you ought to be able to convince somebody.
No, I agree with you. I would argue that people are mad about how this district was drawn, but if you look at the geographical boundaries, it makes more sense. Do you get what I'm saying? I think that people with like interest economically, right, need to be together. When we do all these contiguous figurations of districts, we put people at a disadvantage because we're drawing them based on race. The issues that somebody has in one county may be different than the issues people have in other county. Yes, I think people with like interests, and like interest is not always about race. I'm just not being naive about how they have been drawn. Does that make sense to you? I'm not, and two
No,
things
no,
can
no,
be
no,
true at
in the
once.
army we would call that escape and evasion. But I'm
What is escape evasion? I'm not even, listen, I'm
I'm
not
good.
evading the question.
But
Obviously, I don't like gerrymandering. So
okay.
let me make this clear. I do not like gerrymandering. And I think that when we get to connect it to just race, right, there's a lot of factors that go into people's interest. So
Mhm.
no, I don't think they should be drawn on race, but I want people to understand that race permeates a lot of our politics.
Okay.
Yes,
Now,
Kelvin, we need to change that. You're
okay.
right.
But should we didn't get back to my initial question? Should men be allowed to play in women's sports?
I mean, if I say yes, if I say no, how is that going to change how much my power bill is and how much my groceries cost?
You know.
You get what I'm saying? That's what
No,
I
no,
maybe
no.
I went around the long way to say it.
No, no,
Here's
no. I
the
knew
thing.
you. And I got something. I got something for. Let's see if somebody else wants to talk to you. Good morning.
Hey, this is Rand calling. Just want to tell you, got a beautiful guest today. I just woke up and heard it, but I did catch the last little bit of it, and I appreciate her elaboration. Let her talk a little bit now. You got to be a gentleman, but would you say that Montgomery is interested as a city in general as race? Thank you very much.
Well, let me. So I think that we are obviously historically tied to a bunch of issues with racism. We are the birthplace of the civil rights movement. When I moved here, and I grew up for the most part in Tuskegee, although I've lived other places. And race it's weird because I'm from a historically Black town, but race here is a little bit different than other places I've lived. And I've gone from Tuskegee to living in a place where we were one of the few Black families who lived in the neighborhood. I think that we need to confront some of the residue of racism that holds people back mentally. And I know that it sounds like I'm evading again, Kelvin, but I'm not. I think that sometimes we ourselves hold ourselves back.
Simple question. Somebody wants to know: should a man, because he identifies as a woman, should he be allowed in the woman's bathroom in public venues?
I mean, no.
Well, you didn't mind saying, you don't mind saying that one. Okay, we good. We got one answer out of you. Okay,
I
good.
mean, dude, but I mean, so here's the thing. None of these are part of my platform, and I can talk about them, but it doesn't move us forward in the things that hit everybody's
Well,
day-to-day life.
okay. So
I
let me.
hate to see such a narrow um
But let me
topic
ask you this one
become
question. Tell you why
okay.
I bring it up. If you're going to Tuskegee up 85, okay,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden there is a big crash right there in Auburn, does that affect you? And you leaving Montgomery and headed to Tuskegee, does that affect you?
Yeah, because it backs up. I mean, and it does it all the time. That is not what that is not a far-fetched hypothetical. That is
Okay,
something that happens
because
on a
it's
regular
so what
basis.
right. So what happens in our culture still affects you, me, and everybody else, regardless if we got to pay our light bill or not. Cultural issues are tearing our country apart right now. And
Let me
so
tell you
we,
something. I'm
yeah,
in my house right now, and
yes.
and like the only people affecting me in my house right now are you. I mean, some issues and the price of that cube steak right there that's
Mhm.
in my and again, these are not issues that are going to come up in the Alabama legislature. They're just not. It's
How do you know
it
that?
we get I
I
mean,
mean, the
well,
social
okay,
issue.
let me say you something. If that's our priorities, then we're
Mhm.
not going to move forward. Do you get what I'm
Okay.
saying? Like we get dragged into these culture war issues at the expense of real progress. We can talk about this, but that's not going to save Jackson Hospital, is it? It's not going to increase the number of maternity wards throughout this state. Low birth weight, maternal mortality, infant mortality. These are serious issues in our state. Why aren't we
Well,
talking about that?
I'm gonna shut up here for a second and allow you because
No, I don't shut up. Ask me
unlike
questions.
you though, I think the cultural issues. If you got people in charge of government who can't determine whether or not a man is a man and a woman is a woman, that there's nothing else comes out of your mouth I want to hear, not you. But I'm just saying, if you don't have the common sense to understand that a male is a male and a female is a female, and they should not be anything other than what they are. We should not call them anything other than what they are. There's no such thing as a transgender. No male has ever turned himself into a female. No female has ever turned himself into a male. It's a made up, bogus political title, which don't mean jack to anybody with common sense. However, we are
So why
going
are
to let
so why are you obsessed with it if it doesn't mean anything,
because
if it doesn't exist?
it's
This is what I
because
get.
we have they don't. That's the problem. We got people who actually believe that it exists.
But that okay, so I just saw this say Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination. He doesn't exist.
Wait a
It
minute, he's on
says it in the
Sesame
song.
Street.
The
Okay.
children, he doesn't exist. He's from your imagination, right?
Well, it's from somebody's imagination.
This no, the song says from your imagination, right?
Oh,
You're saying that this is America. So why are we taking up this much time talking
because we
about
put
it? Do you get what I'm
we
saying?
put people, but because we put people
Uh,
in
the
politics.
the power, the light bill is too high. The light
Okay,
bills are
and what are
too
you gonna?
high.
Okay, all right. Do we take? Well, let's get down to the light bill. Alabama Power is one of the few businesses that I know of in Alabama that has a guaranteed rate of return. They're the only business I know that gets that. Should we take that away?
What do you mean?
Well, they got a guaranteed rate of return on their investment. They got now that has
True.
an
And that way, and the nature of a corporation is that the CEO is legally obligated to maximize the returns for
the fiduciary committee.
their shareholders.
Right,
You know,
but
I
I'm talking about
understand that better than
they
anybody. However,
they are
Trump,
guaranteed though, but nobody can guarantee me, my little business, that I'm going to make that I can have a certain amount of profit, else I don't have to pay all that. In other words, why are we sort of shielding like Bronner with the retirement system of Alabama? Hell, you can't fail if you get $400 million from the state of Alabama every year.
okay, so you cut out, and I didn't hear the last
I said
part.
you cannot fail if you're David Bronner. You cannot fail if you get $400 million from $400 million, I think, from the state of Alabama every year.
Okay.
So this guaranteed success model that we are using with Alabama Power or with RSA, why shouldn't everybody partake in that kind of business, that kind of benefit?
I mean, are you? I obviously would love to make that kind of money. I'm not saying that, but I am saying is that uh, there are regulatory bodies. I mean, you understand that, and they've
Yeah,
got to
I
function the
understand that.
way that they're
Okay.
supposed to, and ours have not been functioning.
Okay. Well,
And
what I want to
so
know,
we need.
I'm gonna give you an opportunity to tell people about your platform, some of the things that you want to accomplish, if at all possible. Go.
What do you? I mean, if at all possible, first and foremost, I want us to make sure that we have economic prosperity, security, and opportunity, and that makes a lot of sense in terms of people uh, are feeling insecure. When you get older, you're on a fixed income. You shouldn't be struggling when you're older. And I think, like what we're talking about, if we've decided as a state that certain businesses need to be regulated, then we need to live up to what we've already said that we're going to do. We do need to be attracting industry, and we need to make sure that the infrastructure is here to do that. That goes off into education. We need to be doing the things in the education field that help people to, when you graduate from a school in Alabama, you need to be either, enrollable in college, enlistable in the military, or be able to be employable. And we should have aspirations for our children across the board. We should make sure that our school systems are following all of the regulations. People may not want regulations from DC, but there needs to be regulations in place here in the state. One of my other issues, and I brought this up before, is healthcare. We need to make sure that we're doing what we can to support there being hospitals available for Alabamians. We should be looking at, is there a radius enough where people live around the hospital so that if they were to have a stroke or a heart attack, that they could make it to the hospital in time and increase their chances of survival? We need to be, once again, looking at infant mortality rates, low birth weights, maternal mortality rates. And if we need to expand the options that are available to pregnant women, we need to do that. We don't have enough maternity wards in our state. That is just very important to me. And then finally, we need to bring back some ethics and integrity in our government. We have people grifting. I understand that, when you're dealing with different elected officials, that a lot of times they are giving out contracts to other people. That is a secondary concern. The first concern should be about the people, and we shouldn't just be handing out contracts to people's brothers, sisters, and cousins and neglecting the people. Citizens come first. That's my platform. Those 4 things.
And listen, those things are admirable, but I don't know, as one senator, if you're going to change any of that. But you could put it on the table and see what Alvin Holmes used to say. Something. He said, we may not, I may not get a lot of bills passed, but he says I sure can stop a lot of them from passing.
That's true, but I want you to look at. I went to the legislature this week to watch the House bill dealing with making sure that there are rate hearings for the PSC. And the House was able to unanimously pass the bill supporting that. There are some amendments that were added that I think kind of made that bill dead on arrival. I don't foresee it being able to reconcile, and maybe with the Senate bill, and maybe that was the goal, like what you said, stop stuff. But I want you to look at that Senate bill that creates an energy czar and divides up the public service commissioners into 7 congressional districts. That makes no sense because congressional districts are federal. And we already know we have gerrymandering in our politics. That gentleman called in and said that every last senator in the state of Alabama voted for it. And sometimes it's a matter of you being the lone person that stands up and says, this is not okay. We're not going to give everybody's money away without there being any regulations.
Okay.
So
Let me ask you something. There's a film out right now that actually has won an Oscar. The worst Oscar ever given out. The reason they gave the Oscar out, Alabama Solutions. Have you seen about the prison system in Alabama? It's been on. They was going to give the governor an Oscar for that too, I guess. Our prison system is antiquated. Is not the right actual word to say. It is atrocious. Just because we put people in prison, don't mean if we put dogs in dog houses the way our prisons are, what would happen is that somebody go to jail. How
you're
in
right.
the world? How in the world? And these people already pay. Listen, when you lose your freedom, that's a hell of a price to pay. But we shouldn't treat them like animals. What will you do to try to rectify this? And I've been here for 34 years. I've been hearing about it for 34 years. Is there, or is it just is this just an insurmountable problem that won't ever be changed? It's almost like slavery out in our prison system.
So I would recommend that you watch a old documentary called Slavery by Another Name that talks about how the prison system actually replaced slavery. If you look at the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, it abolishes slavery except in the case of
Right, a prison.
prison.
Mhm.
And the convict leasing system that the entire steel industry in Birmingham was built off of convict leasing, sending convicts into the coal mines. When you come out of that system, it's no surprise that this is what you ended up with. It was never about rehabilitation to begin with. I think that one of the things that you brought up is, what can one person do? Well, one person can continue to sound the alarm until other people join them. We need prison reform. There are places that do rehabilitation and do it better. We need to begin to look at best practices from other areas, and those who have sense and don't just want to, rabble rouse. I think they have the responsibility to keep this issue at the forefront, and to have people, if you're concerned about it, people like yourself and other citizens to hold everybody accountable, and to keep sitting on this issue, because everybody's not going away for life, right? They're going to come back into the general population. We have a responsibility to, if we're going to take people's freedom, to rehabilitate them so when they come back out into the general population, they're not going to reoffend.
Okay.
That should be our first concern.
Yeah.
And I think that takes away some of the cruelty.
Here's the one fault that everybody that runs for office, and you too, you have the same fault. Here's the one fault that you got. You guys do a fantastic job of bringing up the problems that we have. But I never hear, everybody knows what the problems are. I never hear we never hear what you're going to do about it. We just hear about, we know about the problems.
I just told you that there are places that do the things that we're talking about doing and do it more successfully. You look at where it's working, you see what can be tweaked, and you institute those solutions. I know what you're talking about. I don't believe in problem admiration. I had an old boss that used to say that to me all the time. He says, "Are you invested in the problem or are you invested in the solution?" And I'll say this because I ran for school board and I didn't win. I didn't go sit on my behind. It took me 18 months, but I got a family school partnership policy passed with the school system, and I wasn't even on the board. I continued to talk to people until I got enough votes for us to get that to be passed. Now there's a framework in place so that people who come behind me can get them to actually institute, because we're still slow on the uptake. Things take time. The things we agree on shouldn't take as much time as they do. But no, I am very much solution focused, and I believe that solutions exist. We just have to be willing to look at places where things are working. I will say this: I don't like for people to just adopt things on the fly. I do want to see things work in another area before we adopt them. But like the points you and I brought up this morning, these are things that are not working, but they're places where people have addressed them. So we don't always have to reinvent the wheel.
Okay. Okay, get out of that. The school budget, the education trust funds, is almost $11 billion. The operational budget for the state of Alabama is about $3 billion. Education is the only thing that has absolutely gotten worse, except for private schools and those schools. But the public platform of public education absolutely sucks. So there's a law that came out in 1975 where you could actually impose corporal punishment in public school. Nobody wants to do it. Too many women on our board, for one thing. So it is. It's too many women.
Sir, you know that I'm a woman. I'm just going to repeat that.
Yeah,
to you so you understand that.
Women's job is to nurture. Men's job is to put a foot in your tail to get you straight. And all we've done with public school is make it a bastion for failure. Okay, because we don't employ discipline like we ought to. I like the cat too. I like that. So until we get serious about discipline in public school, all we're doing is waiting for them to get out of school so they can head to jail. Okay, so what would you mandate corporal punishment in public school?
No.
Well, it's already there. It's already a law.
So if it's already there, you're asking me if I would mandate
because nobody uses it. And boys, listen, I don't care how y'all like to hug on them and love on them. Boys need to know. You get a boy's respect by power. You get his attention by power, but you get his respect by love. And I'm good with that. But doesn't everybody see what's going on in public school? Everybody's leaving it. Anybody who can leave will leave.
And look, and I probably, as much as I've advocated for it, I can understand. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But to boil it down to just the lack of corporal punishment.
It worked with me, and it worked with everybody in my generation. Putting that pat on that booty will work. It'll get your attention.
But what I'm saying to you is that, okay, that you're talking about one aspect, and that's discipline. That's not what is.
That's the most important discipline. That is the most right, but that's the most important thing. You cannot succeed in life or any aspect without discipline.
You're right, but I want you to look at something else you talked about. That's very important, and you talked about the love, right? There's tough love and there's actual love. That's missing too.
But that's because their parents. Their parents are to give them the love. Their teachers are to invest in their education.
I'm sorry. I am a teacher. I know. I'm a teacher myself, right? And
I want you to love your job. I want you to love your job as a teacher and not necessarily love my child. If you love your job, everything you do, that will come out. But let the parents love them. I need you. What good is loving them if they can get out and can't even get a job at McDonald's because they cannot read?
But that's about standards and having standards for our students.
But $11 billion education fund and a $3 billion, and that doesn't even include the money, I think, that goes to the RSA, which is like $400 million. But $11 billion education trust fund, and then we find out that all the money in the trust fund don't go toward education.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
So we have to try some different things. And I get where you're coming from. And I do want to say this because what you brought up is a very important point. Before we move on. There was a study when my son was younger, and it talked about 4th grade boy syndrome. And they were looking at African American boys. Well, they're not African American because this was in Britain, but they were looking at Black boys in Britain, and they found when they put them in a setting with Black men that they did better. So I don't want to lose the point that you said there. And I was like, well, what would be the difference in that situation? Why are they doing better? And I had to look at it and say that they were being taught by people who looked at these young men and saw them as people. They saw themselves in these kids and they were invested in their success. That's why you have the success at Valiant Cross that you do. And so I think
discipline too. Discipline at Valiant Cross.
But I understand that. But you discipline people with care when you see them. One day you need to talk with my father because and y'all can talk about discipline because I kind of had some different ideas about it when my kids were younger. Discipline is important. I would be, my kids, one of them one time said, Mom is just like the mom on Everybody Hates Chris. And I went, oh, and I said, can you believe he said that? And my daughter said, no, Mom's not like Rochelle all the time. And I was like, you guys, there has to be discipline. There needs to be structure. There needs to be routine. That is one of the most loving things you can do for your children is provide them structure, discipline, routine, time, patience, and repetition. And then, if you don't know how to clean your room, I must not have taught you. So let me sit in your room with you and tell you to move every single thing that you need to move. And you have to move it. And then it's like, never mind, Mom, I've got it. And I'm like, okay. But that discipline needs to come from a place of interest, not a place of disdain. And kids can sense that. I am not disagreeing with you on this. I'm not necessarily saying that your image of corporal punishment is where we need to be, but and my dad is really anti that for a lot of reasons. But this is just not a place where you and I disagree. But I do want to say that there has to be both. No. There has to be. And I think that, this is where I'll get with you on some cultural issues that are important. We have lost this sense of decorum. We've lost a sense of professionalism. We've lost that strive to do our very best.
We've lost discipline.
And I'm going to say self-discipline.
Yeah,
I'm going to say self-discipline. And that can come in a lot of different ways. But I'm not going, if you want me to disagree with you on that and us argue, we're just not going to tussle over that. Because that is important. And I've seen it. I have two kids. One has finished his penultimate semester for his MBA program. The other one actually got through her master's program quickly. I've raised kids to do what people expect kids to do. And it didn't happen because I was loosey-goosey with raising them. It was a plan. I have books on my shelf about setting goals. And, my husband is a business owner, and you don't get where we get in life by just being like, okay, well, whatever happens. You set a goal and you work to achieve it. And that's why when an obstacle comes up, you figure out a way to get around the obstacle because you've been taught critical thinking and you have self-discipline.
Wait a minute, they don't teach critical thinking in public schools.
I teach critical thinking and I've taught dual enrollment. As a matter of fact, I've taught dual one of the times I taught dual enrollment on site at BTW, it was when Jamel was running for mayor. And I had,
how did that work
he was
out?
18 at the time, and I had my students follow him when he ran mayor. And one of the things that I've been kind of disappointed in his campaign is that I think he has a responsibility when you run for office to be a role model for students. And
he lost that lesson. He don't have that lesson. But that's okay. He'll learn. I mean, as he gets older.
And I'm not criticizing him.
You need to criticize him.
Well,
I'll criticize him.
Yeah, okay. Well, so he's gonna talk about your mama and my mama and our grandmama and your granddaddy
I
and all
know.
of look, and if they're dead, they're still not safe. He's gonna talk about your dead grandmama.
Yeah, I
But
know.
I think the thing is that, I like
Yeah.
to see young people interested in
Yeah.
politics. And so I'm bringing that up to say that I didn't dismiss his candidacy when he was mayor. I let the students follow that. And I think that not just him, but all of us have to remember that public service is not the same as being a reality
A TV
TV
star.
star or
That's
whatever.
true.
And virality is not the same as approval. Just because you have a bunch of followers doesn't mean that people
I
approve
know.
of what you're doing. It means that they are entertained
It means they
about
need a
what you're
good
doing.
laugh, is what it means. Let me ask you something. The even though the numbers will be the Democrats in the Senate, not very many. I'm of the opinion. You tell me if I logic and reason, and you talk about critical thinking, can sway people if you present it in a realistic, logical way. The city council, the city council always says, "Well, it's 5-4, 5-4, 5-4." Well, the way I see it, all you got to do is convince one person to come to your side on the issue. And if 4 people can't convince one person, then maybe we got the wrong people.
Well, obviously I believe that because I'm running for Senate.
But I'm
But
I'm
you're
just
right.
saying.
I get tired a lot of times of hearing the same argument, right?
Mhm.
It's not moved the needle. So go back to the drawing board and find more substantive reasons for why you need to do something. A lot of people have talked about Medicare expansion, and I think that instead of taking the same old argument that has not worked and all this time, you have to look at the overall impact and the financial way that hospitals work. If hospitals are failing because we are only dealing with one way of reimbursement, then we have to look at it holistically. And you have to be able to make a different argument for why you need to do something to change it, right? And the other thing is okay, if somebody comes back with this is the reason we're not doing it, and I've not heard a different argument in all of these years, then take in that information, analyze it, and then come up with a solution that moves us to a different place. One of the things that I did when I worked, when I was getting my master's of legal studies, and the concentration is in conflict resolution, and we did a lot of studying about negotiations based on Harvard's School of Business and their negotiation. And I read a lot of books on the psychology of conflict. There are ways to solve problems, and you can do it without there being so much. A conflict is a disagreement. It doesn't have to be conflicting. So I think we're saying the same thing, but
Yeah, let me ask you. One of the things that has just really beleaguered me since I have been here. This is the attitude of can't do. I hear often around here. Well, black folks can't do this. We can't do that. The medical issue, and it's a great issue. But part of our problem with our medical issues, and I'm part of that problem, it's culture. We don't go to the doctor. Okay, we just, especially men, we don't go. And if you live out in the country and you don't go, that's double whammy, because when you decide to go, you can't get there. So
yeah.
because there's nothing there. So again, culture means a lot.
But okay, we can say culture means a lot, but we also can't ignore that copay means a lot, and paying needs a lot, and access to insurance means a lot. And I mean, I'm from a town with the infamous syphilis study. So there is a reason for there to be distrust of doctors. We also can't
In
ignore
2026,
that.
you really believe that?
that there's a culture of mistrust. There is in other places. Now I will say this, my hometown was on top of it when we were going through the pandemic, and they did a good job of making sure that seniors were taken care of. And I know friends of mine who whose parents were nurses were on top of everybody. But in a city like ours, because the dynamics are different, how much community do we still have where people check on one another? Now, some of this stuff cannot be solved by your elected officials. You get what I'm saying? And so when you talk about culture, you're talking about building community.
Yeah.
And checking on each other. Here's the thing. Remember when you were talking about your electrolytes being low? I got on your podcast, and I said, you were like, what's that word? And I said electrolytes. And I said, you need to make sure you're checking on them. And I said, I have to tell my dad about it. And then when we talked the other day, I told you need to drink coconut water. We need to check on our old people. Not that you're an old person, but we need to do that.
Yeah, that's not a problem. Yeah. But anyway, so the whole, so we got Senate. Tell the people what part of Montgomery will you be representing if you should win?
It is most of Montgomery, with the exception of the north side and downtown Montgomery and that far northwest. But it is the majority of the city of Montgomery. And like I said, down into the county of Montgomery and then down into Crenshaw County.
Okay. Somebody asked an interesting question. Willie said, he says, let's see, 35 members, Alabama State Senate Masters Focus Conflict Resolution. How will you be able to, as a member of the minority, be able to get members of the majority to work on passing legislation?
I think you have to talk to them, and I think you can't have a defeatist attitude. I don't believe in slinging mud, but I will throw a little bit of shade and salt. And I was at a town hall meeting recently down in Crenshaw County that Shamari had, and the senator from 26 was there, and he talked about there being a super majority and not being able to do anything. And here's my concern with that. If people jump districts all the time, we're never going to address the super majority. If you've been the incumbent in 26, you should be able to build off of your base and sway some other people over. Don't jump into 25 and try to push everybody else out of the race, which is essentially what's happened. We have to be able to do two things. We need to one, not be afraid to talk to people and come up with different solutions, which is what I'm talking about doing. I'm just not going to back down and go, oh no, we're in the super minority, we can't do anything. That's not okay. And then the other thing is that people need to stop giving up. You can't just go, there's a Republican super majority, this district is too hard for me to win, so I give up. When I ran for school board in District 5, the odds were against me. I did not let that deter me from running. And then even when I lost, I didn't let that stop me from pushing to get some of the reforms that I felt like needed to be done in the school system done. And I became friends with Miss Cloud. I talked to her yesterday because she represents my district. I didn't just go, oh no, the Republican won, there's nothing I can do, let me just go home and be sad. I met her. I talked to her. I said, I don't, she has no reason to listen to me except for I'm a constituent. Like, that's what we've got to get into the habit. You don't just capitulate to systems that put you at a disadvantage. If the civil rights marchers had done that, we wouldn't be where we are now. Like, you know, as the children say, lock in.
Yeah. I tell people, I don't mind people who lose. I mind people who don't fight.
They look like my brother, my son, likes that. He and his wife both had the same senior quote: "If you ain't first, you last."
pretty much. Listen, I give you the last word. I gotta go, but give you the last. And we're gonna have you back for the election because I think you got a lot of great ideas. I talked too much this time, but next time I'll let you just say what you got to say.
Well, I mean, I like talking to you. What I want to remind everybody is, first and foremost, the election is on May the 19th. That is the date of the primary. I hope that you will give my candidacy some serious thought, look over my platforms. I do have a website, phaedrafoster.com, and reach out to me. I'm happy to talk to anybody. If you want to set up a porch meeting, that's what I call it, in your front yard, I'm happy to come invite some of your neighbors and ask me whatever you need to ask me. If I don't know, I'm not going to lie and pretend that I do. I am going to get to know more about your issue so that we can come up with solutions together.
Well, obviously, it's going to take a concerted effort between everybody, you and everybody else. There has got to be some basic things that we all can agree on. There's got to be. Healthcare is one of them. We got to. I mean, there's no compromise there. We need it. And thank you again. We'll have you back again, though. Appreciate it. Stay
right.
Stay home. Don't be coming after me now. I would just,
I'm going to tell him you said hello. All right. Thank you for your time, and goodbye to everybody.
Well, thank you for yours. Okay. Okay, then. Interesting conversation. I know people say, well, when you let her talk more. Well, listen, you let a politician talk, just keep talking. They'll never be quiet. Anyway, I got to get ready to go, but we'll replay this later on today, so we can go over what Phaedra said. Love that name though. But I think she'd probably she's educated, she's articulate. She does study on some of better than I do. And I think that, I think it would not be a bad choice, but I got to see who else is running. All right. Anyway, so y'all have a great day, great afternoon. I'll see you on Tuesday. I got to go to Rome, Georgia. Lost a friend. So if I ain't back on Tuesday, I'll be down there, but I'm trying to get back. All right. So anyway, have a great day. And this election is going to start getting interesting here because now people will be willing to come out and talk. But I will say one thing: all of them have one of the same issues, and that issue is telling us about the problems we already know about. What we're looking for is somebody who can come up with a solution, a comprehensive plan that may or may not work, but at least you got a plan to fix some things. And that Alabama prison is one of those things that need to be fixed. I don't know why after 30-something years in this city, it still has not been fixed. It just, I just don't. I mean, everybody in there don't deserve to be treated like an animal. Okay, they just don't. But anyway, gotta go. Hey, this is a song me and AI wrote. I love this song. It's called Get Up. You're Not Dead Yet. You're Still Here. Get Busy Living. All right? So anyway, take it away. Don't forget, it is not the fall that makes you weak. It's never getting up from it. So the word of the day is keep getting up. Never lay down. We'll be back. Somebody said they can't stand my song. What's up with that? All right, I'll do another one over the weekend.